Vegan coworker just found out that I am a hunter and has made a complaint to HR. How do I handle this? As the title states, I have this vegan coworker, we'll call her Vegan, who's very active on FB and in the office about being vegan and how cruel farming is and everything. Each to their own. I don't necessarily disagree with her views on animal cruelty, but here's the thing, I'm a hunter. Not a trophy hunter, but I do shoot feral pigs, rabbits, ducks, introduce classified game ducks, and foxes, and I fish too. All except for the fish are classified as pests. Foxes especially kill native wildlife, and farm animals and farmers will often put you up on their property for free to hunt them. I have passed tests here, especially for identification of game ducks versus protected species, and practice ethical hunting, i.e. allow the animal to have a fair chase, no dogs or tracking devices, practicing marksmanship, and dispatching prey swiftly and humanely, and not wasting the meat. None of that is obviously good enough for Vegan. When she first came onto the team and told everyone she was vegan, I kept my mouth shut about my hunting. I also think she's really intolerant because she preaches to people about how going vegan will help with their various ailments and always turns up her nose at people heating up meat in microwave. As a result, we've kind of consciously started excluding her when we get up for lunch. However, last year I started going hunting more regularly with a work friend from another department whose uncle owns a farm where feral pigs and like are an issue, and he often swings by to have a chat about guns/bows. And our next trip, and she found out I was a hunter. This isn't even at our desks. It's in the kitchen area that has tables and stuff. We sometimes eat our lunches together. Ever since then, every conversation I've had with her, she's referred to hunting and how cruel it is. One time, I wore a leather pencil skirt to work, and she had a go at me for wearing animal products. She seems to have singled me because of the fact that I go hunting. My boss has no spine. I've tried talking to him about this. But she just intimidates him and makes it seem like she's been persecuted, and he's backed down from that. She even tried to get a vegan shelf in the fridge and tried to rope in some Hindu vegetarian guys to do that, but they pointed out that they use milk and cheese and honey in their cooking. They also think she's nuts. It's gotten to the point where we go out for drinks on a Friday night at 5, and we never ask her. I don't organize these things, a coworker does, but my boss told me, when I brought it up in one-on-one meeting, that she feels really left out, and she seems to think it's my fault because I've been here for longer, and I'm somehow poisoning them against her or something. I have since been conscious of this if anyone starts conversation about vegan. I just say I don't talk to her unless it's work-related, and she's more than adequate at her job. It's actually become something of a joke or catchphrase. I told my boss I don't organize anything except official events, and she's always been invited. If she's not invited to informal stuff, that's not even organized by me, then that's not my problem. The coworker that doesn't invite her, she managed to piss him off because he's eaten guinea pig, he's from Peru, and she asked him if he'd eaten any of his other pets. For the record, he never ate a guinea pig that was a pet. It's something they eat in Peru. Whenever she brings up hunting or anything, I just point blank ask her if there was anything work-related that she wanted to talk about, and if there wasn't, I would start talking to someone else or just walk off. I've asked her multiple times to keep conversations work-related. I never start a conversation with her at all. Most of the time, she pounces when I'm in the kitchen making tea, getting water, or just stretching my legs. One time last week, a group of us were talking, and she got up to join the discussion. A horrible silence fell over the group to the point where I just excused myself and went to me desk, and so did a few others. It all came to a head in our team meeting today when our boss, usually at the ends, asks if there's any positive news or celebrations outside of work people want to share, like engagements, marathons, charity appeals, etc., and Vegan sarcastically asked me how many lives I'd taken last weekend. I got annoyed and said her constant badgering me about my hobbies and choice to eat meat was discriminatory and bothersome, and that unless it was work-related, she was not to engage me in conversation otherwise, and told our scribe to put that in the meeting minutes. She seemed a bit shocked by that, and my boss looked uncomfortable, but said fair enough. I thought that was the end of that, but right before our boss went to close the meeting, 2 other coworkers also put their hands up and asked Vegan to only engage them in work-related discussions, and that they were also uncomfortable being given non-medical health advice pertaining to their choice to consume meat and their diets. Again, boss looked uncomfortable, but asked Vegan to respect their wishes and close the meeting. Vegan didn't look anyone in the eye after that, but headed straight to the bathroom. My boss was trying to get one of the coworkers to see if she was okay, and I think one of them eventually checked up on her, but she was in a cubicle and asked to be left alone. She eventually came out and asked my boss to leave early, which she did. I feel awful now. She embarrassed me in front of my team with the lives taken comment, so I pushed back, but I am caught between not wanting her to miserable and not wanting anything to do with her at all. A few of my coworkers and I ended up in a proactive conference call after this with HR, who basically said that always been subjected to unwanted advice and jabs about eating meat was not okay, but some mediation was in order to ensure cut the tension in the workplace. The HR rep then called my boss, who explained what happened in the team meeting and complaints that we'd made one-on-one, etc. But then he went into a meeting room and didn't hear the rest of discussion. I don't know what to do, assuming she comes into work tomorrow, or if I should even talk to her at all. TLDR, vegan coworker keeps making jabs at me. I snapped and told her not to talk to me unless it was work-related, and 2 other coworkers followed suit. Vegan left work early upset. Not sure how to proceed from here. Relevant comments. Comment. I have nothing productive to add, but I love the image of the Hindu guys tapping out of her vegan, cruelty-free nuttiness. Oh, they have leather briefcases and shoes and wallets. Once of them even pointed that out to her after her dig at my skirt. Commenter. Why did you come here for advice? You've done everything perfectly, Mo. Don't feel bad. Don't engage her. Just keep on keeping on. Oh, because I still have to work with her, and I feel bad that she's crying and had to leave work early. I've never made a coworker cry before. Commenter. You didn't make it cry. Being confronted with her behavior did. Oh, true. A part of me feels really but a part of me is just feeling how ridiculous all this is. We're adults and professionals. It shouldn't have to come to this. Top comments. Comment. Chiming in as a vegan here. She is being completely ridiculous. She has now created a hostile workplace for you and your coworkers. As a vegan in the world, she cannot expect to never encounter meat eaters. It's one thing to state your opinions, but it is quite another to berate your coworkers. If she didn't want to work with meat eaters, she should choose a vegan company to work for. Do not engage her further. She has been harassing you. This is her problem now. Comment. Another vegan here. My random guess is that she's a relatively new vegan, still caught up in euphoric heavy evangelism phase some of us go through, and hasn't yet learned a more nuanced vegan advocacy ethic. She needs a wake-up call. This could be that moment for her, and I think OP has handled it correctly so far. Update. 4 days later. So the meeting happened on Friday. HR lady was a very much a let's all get along type and very enthusiastic and eager to mediate with buzzwords and talk about feelings. HR contacted me, and I told them to get Vegan's perspective first so that she wouldn't complain not getting a chance to get her point of view. So Vegan, boss, and HR had a meeting. I'm pretty sure Vegan made it seem like she had been bullied, which was pretty much what I was expecting. Then the rest of us were called into a meeting with HR to give our points of view. The coworker who was a cancer survivor had gotten progressively more annoyed at what happened after the meeting with Vegan taking off, so I told her she was welcome to take the lead in the meeting because her issues could have had an actual health impact. She took up most of the time actually talking about how Vegan kept giving her unsolicited, medically unsubstantiated advice on cancer treatment and prevention, and HR, and boss started looking uncomfortable and concerned. A few other coworkers, like the one with celiac, especially also mentioned unsolicited advice. My Peruvian coworker brought up cultural insensitivity and the eating your pets comment, and I didn't know Vegan said this to the Hindu coworker, but apparently Vegan had told Hindu that veganism would make him a better Hindu because it eliminated all animal cruelty or something. A few people started laughing at this, and one coworker joked that Vegan was like the vegan Amway, always selling something that nobody was interested in. So I'd been pretty quiet at that point, and HR asked me why I had asked Vegan to only speak about work-related matters, and I told her that I'm a hunter and briefly explained that I believe in ethical hunting and how it befitted endangered species, etc. But Vegan kept on calling it murder, had a dig at me for my leather skirt even though other people here had leather shoes, leather handbag, and HR injected that her Filofax was real leather, and I told her that talking to Vegan was stressful and demoralizing, and she'd refused to respect my boundaries when I asked her on other occasions to keep things work-related. So then the mediation begun, and Vegan was brought in, and other co-workers left. I basically said exactly what I'd said before to Vegan with HR and boss there, that I respected her lifestyle choice, and how passionate she was about making a change, but I disagreed with her on certain pointed, and even if she didn't agree with my lifestyle choices, it was unfair of her to single me out or harass me about them. Vegan said that to her, what I was doing was morally unconscionable, and she didn't believe in exploiting animals. I told her that her iPhone, her clothes, her computer were all produced via human exploitation, and the quinoa that she loves so much has affected local income farmers in Bolivia, and then I qualified. I told her it was great that she had her thing to try and improve the world, but I also had a different perspective and different issues I was more passionate about, and that I had respected her point of view, and she should respect mine. Vegan's response to all of this was, it's still murder. HR looked annoyed at this point and said that vegan was not trying to find a middle ground. So I turned to HR and said that this was why there was no middle ground, and that's why I thought keeping things civil and work-related, because in the end we are here to do a job. HR agreed, boss agreed, I agreed, vegan grudgingly agreed, and HR wrote all this down, and I had mediation meeting minutes saying all of this emailed to the four of us. Anyway, boss called us into a meeting around lunch and said it was good that we were able to talk about things outside of work because it's good team bonding, but it had come to his attention that there was unsolicited health advice and cultural sensitivity issues in the team. We'd be discussing that in our next team meeting, and we'd had a productive session, but needed to focus on work and keep our spirits up. Vegan had a meeting with boss after that, and then went home early. We had to come in on a Saturday, and today end-of-month stuff. This happens when the end of month falls on a weekend. I'm in finance, but we get time in lieu. I just gave Vegan a cheerful good morning to which she didn't respond, and when she said handed me a file and said she was leaving, I just said thank you for your work today and enjoy the rest of your weekend. Vegan kind of just grunted at me and left. I'm just going to keep it civil like HR said and vegan and dig her own hole. I still feel a bit sorry for her. I still think she feels attacked, but at least it got her off my back for the time being. TLDR. Vegan was told formally by boss and HR to keep things work-related and civil. Relevant comments. Commenter. LOL, how hasn't she been fired yet? Oh, because she does her job, and Australia has good workplace laws. So yes, you do get frustrating coworkers, but I'd hate the fire and will sort thing happening in the US. Does Opie have anything against vegan food? Before vegan's time, I actually made this really awesome, fully vegan blood orange and saffron cake. Google that and Key Pinnakin blogger for the recipe because the Hindu guys don't even eat eggs. I've also made a dark chocolate tofu cheesecake with chili jelly, modified ginger boy, blogger, recipe. That was non-vegan but vegetarian if you use agar instead of gelatin. I seriously have nothing against vegan food. Storyt. My brother, 15 male, has been lying about my 25 male life to my conservative, estranged religious parents. He even made a fake Instagram. Okay, I'll try to make this quick, but there's a lot, and I'm freaking the fuck out. I grew up a Jehovah's Witness. If you don't know, JW are extremely conservative to an insane degree. I wasn't allowed to read Harry Potter, if that makes sense. And my parents were not lax or exceptions for my children type. Extremely devout people. And I'm gay. When I was 16, I was outed horribly by my sister, who found some gay porn that I didn't delete from my computer history. My family, of course, flipped out and demanded I either seek conversion therapy or get out. Luckily for me, my aunt had also defected from the church, so I was able to move in with her, far away. My parents and sister immediately wanted nothing to do with me, but my brother was 6. He was too young to really grasp what was going on, and had no phone or social media or anything, so I couldn't contact him. I honestly just assumed he drank the same end as Nye Kool-Aid, and never sought him out. Earlier this year, I got a message from him on Facebook. It was a gigantic apology for not saying goodbye properly, and that he really wanted me back in his life. Clicking through his profile, I didn't see any JW proselytizing like my sisters, just pics of him and his friends being normal teens. I was beyond happy. I messaged him back. We FaceTime, cried. He caught me up a little in his life, and I caught him up a little in mine. And from there we started texting regularly. I'm very, very happy about all this. But he was still living under my parents' roof, and was still heavy in JW culture. I was nervous about this. He always reaffirmed that he only called / texted when he wasn't in the house or around other JW, and reaffirmed that he thought the church was awful. Last week, something weird happened. I got an email from my mother. It was a picture from a recent Dells trip she had taken with my family and another JW family. Years of no contact. Then this. What the fuck? I spent days talking this out with my friends before it occurred to me that my brother might have something to do with this. I brought up the email to my brother when I called him yesterday, barely hinting at my suspicions at all, and he unloaded. He had been lying to my parents. He said that I contacted him apologizing and was desperate to get back in contact with the witnesses again, but was too ashamed. But the kicker is he made a fake Instagram to show them. He plucked all the G-rated pictures from my various social medias and filled it in with captions about how devout I am, how happy I am to have refound God's light, etc. He had taken pictures of me and my best friend Julie and added captions like the love of my life, my bride-to-be, etc. like holy shit. He seemed already remorseful of this ploy, but that he was in too deep to stop now. Now he didn't say as much, but the obvious implication here is that he thought he could get my family back together. But this isn't a fucking sitcom or The Birdcage. He's catfishing his very emotionally unstable and religious zealot parents into thinking their faggot outcast son was reconverting. I have no intentions of being in their life ever again, but I'd like to remain in my brother's life, and I don't want this incident to scare him off or sever the small bits of contact we have now. So what do? I will not be contacting my parents, nor will I pretend to be straight. Obviously, I need to tell him to close the account and stop talking about me to them. But what else if anything? TLDR. I'm gay. Religious parents kicked me out. Little brother made a fake Insta to convince them that I'm not gay anymore. I do not know how to stop this. Relevant comments. Commenter. He's still in the cult and is trying to drag you back in. I would not be surprised if your parents put him up to that. I'm sorry, but you have to cut him off if you want to remain safe from them. Report the copycat Instagram and have it taken down. Oh, that was one of my first thoughts, but I don't know. He seemed very genuinely engaged with my life in a way that didn't seem coaxed/trained. He also had pictures with friends in gay pride flag shirts and has talked about going to parties, drinking, smoking weed, Marvel movies, etc. The internet seemed to connect him away from the cult as it did for me. Plus, if this was some elaborate ruse, why would he make the fake Instagram in the first place? Also, if be barely coaxing exposed everything, my brother clearly can't lie well. Top comment. Maybe he wants grounds to escape to you. Look, bros, all fixed. I can go visit him during summer without being banished. I don't think it was a ploy to drag you back in, because he wasn't trying to convert you. He was trying to deceive them. If this could help him have a sane and safe outlet, that'd be great. He may also really miss you and just wish you could be unbanished. But you obviously should not have to put on an act to go home. Entirely, fuck that. But the poor kid is trapped and odd coping mechanisms are to be expected really. I'm most curious about what his intentions were. Update. Thank you all for your illuminating comments. I'm honestly overwhelmed at the response and apologize for not replying much. It was so much. But I'd like to specifically thank you/Myman for his comment, which suggested that this was not him trying to rope me back in, but him trying to escape the cult. You were exactly right. Today we talked for the first time since our conversation. He took down the Insta after our conversation, which I hadn't noticed at the time of writing the post, haha, and I gently asked why exactly he did this. He's 15, so he didn't quite have the language to say, I'm being abused and need to leave the JW. What he said instead was that mom and dad are crazy, and he's become disillusioned with the cult. He even used the word cult. He still believes in God and wants to explore different sects of Judeo-Christianity. My hometown is a small place in the Midwest, and everyone knows who the JW are. They're like those people. So he couldn't covertly go to another service without someone recognizing him and it getting back to my parents. His motive was pretty much what you/Myman said. He said he wants to visit, hang out, and explore the religions around Chicago, but the only way my parents would allow him to leave town is if they knew exactly where he was, who he was with the whole time, etc. So in his head, propping me up as converted was the only way to make it happen. I told him I was completely uncomfortable with that and that my relationship with my parents is over. He apologized and pretty much already knew the logistical problems. I think this was a very maturing ordeal for him. I established myself as a lifeline. I told him that if it ever gets too much, I will pay for his train ticket and he can stay with me for as long as he likes, even moving in for the remainder of high school. And I mean it. I have enough space, and my aunt will help with childcare/extra expenses. He seemed apprehensive, but the thought's out there, and he now seems comfortable enough to vent about the church/my parents/my crazy-ass sister directly. As for my parents, I just told him to cold turkey stop talking about me. If they ask, and this was suggested by Julie, my bride-to-be, he will tell them that I might have refound Christianity, but I have no intentions to return to the Watchtower, and that he stopped talking to me. Leaving JW for any reason is grounds for excommunication. And I put my actual Insta on private, in case they go looking. They might think I'm not gay, might now have the sliver of hope that I'll return to them, but that's honestly not my fucking problem. And for the guys who suggested this was a honeypot, no 15-year-old can act this well. He's so full of love and kindness, and as fucked up as his plan was, it was at the end of the day because he is panicking in a toxic environment. Thank you all, again. My brother is back in my life, and I now have the means to help him. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. TLDR. My brother made the fake Insta so he could have an excuse to visit me. I told him if he ever wants to escape my parents, I will be here for him to move in with. The Insta is deleted. Thank you. Relevant comments. Downvoted commenter. Pretty sure I'll be downvoted for this, but it's lame as hell that you won't go along with it, just so your brother can have somewhere safe to go when he needs to. No one said you need to be best buddies with your parents again, and them having kicked you out for any reason is a good reason to not have to befriend them. Oh, the logistical problems are insurmountable. What if, instead of sending a 15-year-old alone on a trip with a previously gay son, they all take a trip? What if they try to contact me? Meet me wife. Again, this isn't a birdcage, and the point of the birdcage is that you can't hide who you are, even if it's to earnestly help a loved one.